Good evening. I've known Jose for over 3 years, and I've witnessed his extraordinary achievements in what he's done for federal government. In 2016, Jose introduced blockchain to the federal government. He worked with industry and the government through ACT-IACT and formed a working group, which then led to pioneering innovations in blockchain and artificial intelligence. In 2016, he worked to introduce blockchain, the first proof of concept at GSA. Following that, he took that innovation to HHS and expanded that and scaled it out. And today, he holds and runs the first federally authorized blockchain solution for the federal government. Now, he's applying artificial intelligence and recurrent neural network to help the government streamline acquisition, supply chain, and most importantly, to return savings and over $750 million in savings to the mission of HHS.
David, you know everything under the sun. Okay, so under his leadership, HHS has taken a bold step into the future. HHS is developing digital ledger technology to give its contracting officers greater visibility into the agency's acquisition function. The goal is to cut down the length of the acquisition cycle, as well as to promote better decision-making on contracts, saving time and money. HHS will combine blockchain with artificial intelligence and robotic process automation to improve acquisition and administrative processes. Jose is a respected leader in applying emerging technologies to the federal acquisition process and mission-critical program challenges. We recently received a letter of congratulations from the Honorable Sarah Bloom Raskin, former Deputy Secretary from the U.S. Department of Treasury, and here's an excerpt from that letter. I have the pleasure of adding some words of congratulations to Jose Arrieta. Jose is a person who is one of the foremost thinkers and doers in the realm of technology. Since the advent of something called blockchain, Jose has been all in helping us understand how this technology can be harnessed for good, for responsible commerce, and more than anyone I know, Jose has helped us find the words to describe it. No small feat. He is an individual of extraordinary energy, a careful explainer, a leader who knows how to partner with business and collaborate with the government and outside government. A person always ready to provide a fresh perspective and inspiration. Jose is an excellent choice for the Government Partnership Award tonight. Well said. And with that, the Chamber is pleased to present the Government Partner of the Year Award to Jose Arrieta.
I thought they were going to tell David to wear heels. I tried to get him to do it, but he wouldn't listen. First and foremost, thank you very much to the industry folks in the room, to the government colleagues that I have in the room. I very much appreciate this. And to the folks from Montgomery County, I truly meant what I said on the video. I spent literally 4 years, 3 days a week, 3 weekends a month in Montgomery County coaching basketball. So personally, I am very grateful for this honor. I want to tell you a little secret, something that I've never said before, as to why we actually invested in blockchain. And they talked about all the savings, and that's important. But there's also the impact that this can have on people's lives. And I'm going to tell you a story about someone that I'm really close to, about my aunt. Her name is Margaret. So my aunt was a single mom, recently divorced. Both of her kids went to college. And when they graduated from college, they went to a city for a job. She's very lonely, grew up in a rural part of Pennsylvania. And she was an RN, and she traveled regularly 40 minutes to work. I'm saying all these things because they're social determinants of health, and they're extremely important to actually understand for positive health outcomes for people. She hurt herself at work, and in hurting herself, she was prescribed opioids, and she developed an addiction to opioids. She developed an addiction to the point where she was taking 20 to 25 Vicodin a day. Think about that. So her neighbor came over to visit her one day, and she said she wasn't feeling well. And if you ever went to visit my aunt, there would be times where you would walk in, and she would be almost completely asleep in the middle of the day, but nobody knew why. She didn't share that she was depressed. She didn't share that she had an addiction, and she didn't share the story of the prescription drug use. So one day, someone came over to visit her, and she said, I'm going to take a couple days off. I feel like I have a cold. And the neighbor came back 2 days later and she hadn't moved from her place on the couch. She clearly hadn't moved. You know what I mean by that? So the neighbors scooped her up and took her to the hospital. And when they took her to the hospital, they said, it's a rural hospital. They said, we think she has pneumonia. We're going to put her on an IV drip, and she'll get better in 12 hours. But in 12 hours, she didn't get better. In 12 hours, 90% of her major organs stopped working. Her lung collapsed. She was fully intubated and life-flighted to a hospital in a major city center. Now, once she got to that hospital, they quickly realized that she had sepsis, something that could have been identified at the moment of a cough if they had known of her opioid usage, of her Vicodin usage. They quickly identified it, but guess what, guys? The data exchange capability didn't actually exist to understand what strand of sepsis. You see, there's 7 or 8 strands of sepsis, and you have to actually send that blood specimen away for 2 days to find out what it is. So how do you treat the patient? You give her a cocktail of intravenous drugs, and you hope that she survives the intravenous drugs that are killing her for a 2-day period until you find out what strand of sepsis she has, and at that point, you treat her with the drug that she needs to survive and live. It's a technology issue. So in 2 days, they identified the strand of sepsis. She luckily survived, and then they gave her another cocktail of drugs so that she could recover from the drugs that were killing her. And she went through a period of recovery and survived. Now, here's the thing. The investments in technology that industry groups in Montgomery County make, which I believe is the center for innovation for healthcare, driving positive health outcomes for citizens of this nation, the investments that you make actually directly impact human lives, actually impact people like my aunt. And government contracting and government grants are the generator of those outcomes. Think about the impact that you are actually having on people. And it's directly here in Montgomery County, a county that has a huge impact on my life, both professionally and personally, through the basketball. Now, my aunt's okay, but I just want to thank each and every one of you who run companies, who reinvest in your companies to deliver better health outcomes. Maybe it's better accounting services for the U.S. federal government and the people that we serve, and never lose sight of the impact that that actually has on everyday citizens. Now, to lighten it up a little bit, because that is a very intense story, I've always wanted to do this, okay? And I'm going to take a selfie with all of you. Thank you, guys.